Hi, everybody. My name is Dhara Patel, and I'm a client director at Inspired Instruction. And today our webinar is going to be closing chapters, reflecting success, and empowering educators at year's end. And I'm really excited to be here with you and hoping to give you some strategies as you end this school year. All right, so our agenda for today is going to be, first, we're going to talk about how to end the year successfully. So we're going to talk about some effective strategies to ensure a smooth end of the year transition. Then we're going to talk about self-reflection, so some practices that can enhance your personal as well as professional growth. And finally, we're going to talk about planning for the next years. What are some steps you can take right now to support your teachers? What are some things that you can implement following school year? And as you can see, there's a little symbol here, a little clipboard symbol here. So typically at the end of every webinar, we send you resources that we talk about during the webinar. So what I've done is when you see this little clipboard on a slide, that means that the tool or the resource that I'm talking about will be shared with you at the end of this webinar. So you will actually get an email, and part of that email is going to be a document that just has links to all of the resources that I talk about, all right? So keep an eye out on the clipboard because that tells you that a free resource will be shared with you as part of attending the webinar. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So first thing, oh, I'm really sorry about that. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I don't know where that glitch came from. I'm very sorry. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm just trying to figure out what is going on with my laptop. I am extremely sorry. Okay, we're going to try this again. Please bear with me as I'm just trying to figure out what is happening with my laptop. Again, I'm very sorry. We're going to try this one more time. Nope. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about end of the year, some effective strategies to ensure a smooth end of the year transition. I apologize, it's not in a slideshow mode as my PowerPoint keeps taking me to my very last slide. So please just bear with me with the format, okay? So let's talk about the end of year strategies. So the first strategy that I'd like to share is called Spill the Tea Tuesday. Now, given that you're almost to the close and the end of the school year, one effective thing you can do is pick a day. It could be Thursday, it could be Tuesday. We call this Spill the Tea Tuesday. And you would ask the teachers to reflect on how the school year went, right? So some of the questions that you can ask your teachers is, who helped you get through the year? And in what ways did they make a difference? You might ask, what's a meaningful success that you experienced this school year? You may also ask, what's one thing that you let go of this year that you learned you can live without, right? Again, this is so that way you start bringing your staff together. You start, you reflect on what were the successes for this year. What are some things that you overcame? What are some things that you learned that, you know what, I actually don't need this in life. And I was successful, right? So you might want to consider using Spill the Tea Tuesday strategy, okay? Another strategy that I'd like for you maybe to try out is what we call the future me strategy. So the way this goes is you would pick a book that you would read aloud to your teachers, excuse me. So an example is Because I Had a Teacher, or Why We Need Teachers, or Teacher is the Greatest Gift. After you've read this read aloud, you really want to empower and let your teachers know the importance that they hold in the students' lives and in each other's lives, right? And then what your teachers can do is they can go on the website called futureme.org and they write a letter to their future self, typically for when they return on the first day of school, with these two prompts. Remember when, something that went well that you can do again this year, okay? And keep in mind, meaning something that didn't go as planned, but you can absolutely overcome. As a reminder for the teachers that, hey, look at these great things that I've done that I can absolutely repeat this school year. And also, hey, remember that time when something went bad? It really was okay. So a reminder for these teachers of how great they are and continue doing the great things that they're doing in their classroom, okay? Another strategy that you might want to try as you're ending this school year is what we called my silent hero. Come on, let's admit it, right? All of us have those silent heroes in our lives. And especially as teachers, right? You might have a paraprofessional in your classroom who's always helping you who's always helping the teachers cut materials out or pass it out, or, right? You have teachers working with other teachers, resource teachers working with general education teachers who are helping out. So in order to bring your staff together and to recognize those silent heroes, you might want to consider doing what's called a My Silent Hero activity. And the way this works is you would have the teachers and your staff members, before coming to, let's say, a staff meeting or a PLC meeting or a grade level meeting, think about a silent hero in this past school year, okay? And what we want to do is we want to give this silent hero a quick thanks. So you would give them a template that looks like this, okay? And at the top, they would write my hero, they would write down the name of the hero, and then they would tell them why they are their hero. Now, the teachers or whoever fills this out can either keep themselves as anonymous, or they can even write their name down to say, this is from me to you, okay? As you can see, because there's a symbol of that clipboard here, that means you will get this free resource at the end of this webinar, okay? So this is another strategy you might want to implement in your school. And all the three that I just mentioned so far, which one was the, Spill the Tuesday, right? Then I spoke about Future Me, and now I'm talking about My Silent Hero. You can do it in a number of ways. You could do it as a staff meeting, whether it's PLC, grade level, or even when you are doing one-on-one conversations with your teachers, right? The setting is there's no right setting. You could do it at any time. And all of these activities, especially My Silent Hero, you can also make it virtual by simply having the teachers email it to each other, to the partner they wanted to, but of course then it wouldn't be an anonymous. Or you can have a Google form where the teachers can fill it out, and then you as an administrator just pass on that message to that silent hero, recognizing them for their hard work, right? And if you wanted, you can even have a wall, like a designated wall for the silent heroes of the school or of the district. And as people are filling it out, you can start, taping those on the My Silent Hero wall. So I hope you found the strategies for ending the school year helpful. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to some self-reflection practices that will enhance both your personal and your professional growth, okay? So the first strategy that we're going to talk about. It's what's called I am important. And the reason why we're saying this is I am important is because it's about self-care, right? We all know if we don't take care of ourselves, then we can't take care of others, right? So this is what's called a more or less list. So what you would do is you would think about all the things that you have done this year that you've absolutely enjoyed. And you would put that under the more list, okay? And then you think about activities, engagements that you've been part of that you did not enjoy so much. And you put that on the less list, okay? So the idea behind this more and less intent list is you're being intentional in planning for the following school year, okay? Again, this could be personal or this could also be professional, right? So here's an example. This school year, I, as an administrator, spent a lot of time on self-care. I took the time out for myself every day for 10 minutes, and I lit a candle and I kind of just sat there in silence. And it really made a difference, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would put that on my more list. And what you would do is you don't have to write it down. You just draw a picture, okay? And then on the less side is activities that you didn't necessarily enjoy. An example might be every time I did some sort of an evaluation, because I was a first year administrator, I kind of felt like I was judging the teacher. I didn't mean to, but it kind of came off that way in the way that I spoke. So maybe I don't want to do a lot of that. Maybe I want to change the way that I speak, right? Then that would go in the less. And after you fill it out, you kind of reflect on it, take a look at it and reflect, what did you enjoy a lot? What did you not enjoy a lot? And a goal is you want to repeat the things that you enjoyed more, whether it's personally or professionally. Okay. So now we're going to move on. I'm going to share another strategy that you might want to consider when it comes to self-reflection, right? And that's feedback from your staff, right? And this could be a little tricky, right? Because you have to be open to feedback, whether it's positive or negative, right? Because one way to grow, right, is to get feedback from our peers and from our colleagues, right? So I'm going to try this one more time. I'm going to hit this slideshow to see that if it shows up, okay? Oh, it does. Awesome. So again, feedback from your staff, those that work with you, okay? Again, this feedback could be either it's personal or it's professional, okay? And all it simply is the teachers would get the prompt, thank you for, and they would fill it in, and I wish you knew, and they would fill it in. If you're doing this personally, then that's what you want to let your teachers know and your staff members know, that me as a person, okay, what is something that I did well? What is one area that I can work in? Or you can go the professional route and say, what is one thing that you would like to thank me for, that you're proud of, that I could be proud of as an administrator, as a leader? And what is one area that I can grow in? And you would, again, because as you can see, there's a symbol for clipboard. That means you will get a resource. You will get the resource link to this tool. You would give this little card to your staff members, and you ask them to complete it, and you tell them a spot, whether it's in the main office, whether it's in your office space, a safe spot where they can come and drop this note off for you, the feedback for you, right? Again, if you really want to grow and you just want to, use this as productively, you can either ask them to do it anonymously, right? Or you may say, write your name so that way I know how to come to you, and then we can talk more about this, right? So totally up to you whether you want it to be anonymous or not, or leaving it up to the teachers. But gaining feedback from your staff one, gives you more buy-in from the staff, right? Because they see that you value their input, you want their input, and that you're going to use their input to make a change, right? And again, you have to have that open conversation that, hey, there are going to be certain things that I'm not going to be able to change, like I wish you'd give me more prep time, right? Because that's out of your jurisdiction. So you want to be mindful of when you're presenting this to your staff members, like, hey, this is for me to grow, whether personally or professionally, but this is about me. So what can give me like a glow and a grow for me, right? As a principal, as a person. And then using this information to reflect on, all right, what are the things that I've done this year, right? And how can I improve for the following year? Or what are some changes that I can actually make today to be even a better leader, right? Because feedback, there's no timeline of when you start implementing the changes. It's when you decide to make the changes, right? So once you get the feedback, you go through it, you take the time to go through it, read through it, right? Don't take it personally because you did ask for this feedback, right? And this will give you an opportunity to really see where you stand with your staff members. Another strategy you might want to try, this is actually one of my really, I really like this one, is what I like to call focus on positivity. So what you would do is you would first, I'm sure you take lots of pictures, right? As the school year goes on, you have lots of celebrations, you have lots of moments during your school that you take pictures of. So the first step you would have to do is you would gather all the pictures that you've collected from this school year. And if you haven't, you can email your teachers and say, hey, send me all the pictures you've taken this school year, right? So you have this plethora of pictures. Then what you do is you take a blank piece of paper and you write down 3 words that hold value for yourself and the school. So an example might be engagement, respect, team effort, right? Like these are what's valuable to the school vision, mission, your mission as a leader, right? Then what you do is you go through that pictures that you just collected, you go through, maybe you select 20 pictures, maybe you would select 100, as many as you want. But now you go through these pictures and you pick out the pictures that showcase one of the 3 words that you wrote down on a piece of paper. So, for example, looking at this picture right here, you see that definitely looks like there's some sort of a team effort, engagement. I would put that picture to the side, okay? And then once you have those collection of pictures, go through each picture and think about what was going on during that. What was the event? What was going on? What do you remember about that event, okay? And then finally, ask yourself, can this be repeated next year? Because if they match the one of the 3 words that you wrote down, you want to repeat that activity, right? So this will give you an insight of maybe there was an activity that you may not have been fully involved in because you were just very busy trying to get everything in order that day. But going through those pictures, you're now able to see, oh my goodness, look at how much fun everybody was having. Look how engaged everyone was. Oh my God, look at this staff members, or students that I typically don't see as much involved in. They're so heavily involved in this picture. I definitely want to repeat this activity, right? Or I definitely want to repeat this event as a school. If it was a small event that happened maybe at a class level, because maybe one teacher thought of it and they just try to do it in their classroom, and now you have pictures of that. Can I repeat this activity, but at a school level, right? If this is something that worked at my school and I'm part of a bigger district, can I now share this so then it almost becomes at a district level? Can this be repeated at a district level, right? So the whole idea is we want our staff members and we want our school to be engaged in all this positivity and in activities that resembles what our school is about. And this is one way about doing that, okay? And finally, as you are reflecting, right, one thing we do after we reflect is to create goals, because we ultimately want to become better leaders, right? So a way about creating goals, again, this is going to be a survey. As you can see the clipboard, it's a free resource that will be shared with you, is what we could say, do a school staff survey to fuel your leadership. So these are 16 questions and then five open-ended questions and 12 agree or disagree questions, okay? And they're just basic sentence like, my administrator treats me like a professional. I feel comfortable approaching my administrator with concerns. So these are just questions that your staff members would complete. Again, this would be anonymous. And then there are open-ended questions as you go down the document, and you simply just want your staff member to give you feedback so that way you can grow professionally. Okay. So again, if you wanted to, you can very easily make this into a Google form, and where all the teachers just complete it anonymously for you to review, and another source of data for you to grow professionally, right? So all the strategies that I shared so far for self-reflecting, some you can use as both personally and professionally, and some, like this survey, is more so for you to grow professionally. Okay, so again, all of these resources will be shared with you at the end of the webinar. Okay, so now we are going to talk about some simple strategies that you can implement as you are planning for the next year. Okay, and before I go on, actually, for planning on the next year, I do want to mention that all the strategies that I just mentioned so far, whether it's for self-reflecting or closing out the school year with your staff members, you can very easily translate these activities to your teachers to implement in their classrooms, right? Not the survey, obviously, but any of the other strategies like self-growth, me being important, looking at pictures, what can be repeated. You can even get your staff involved, right? Be like, hey, let's look at these pictures. What went really well? Which activity do you think we can repeat as, in the school? So there's something that your teachers can also implement, whether it's for their personal growth, professional growth, or overall school growth, right? So now let's talk about planning for the next year. So one strategy you might want to try is what we call the support and success wall. So as simply said, you can dedicate a wall in the school. It could be a wall, maybe in the faculty lounge, or maybe right by the front entrance or the main office, right? Or maybe this is where all the teachers get together for PLC time. So that's where the support and success wall could go, right? You could be strategic about where this can go. You want to make sure that this space is where everybody has access to, right? And it's a no judgment space, right? So keep it completely anonymous, unless otherwise the person who's writing it wants it to be known this is who's writing it. But simple thing is, so part of the wall, and these could be just anchor charts as well, okay, is the support, the success. So an area of excellence or success. And this could be either at a school level, grade level team, or you meaning the teacher or the aide, any CST team member, right? Any member of the school. So what went well this school year? So that meaning, like, can we repeat that? And then the other side of the wall is that support. One area where support is needed, either at a school level, at a grade level team, or individually. And you can very easily have an anchor chart, call it the success, and then break it down into 3 columns, where one is school level, grade level team, individually, and then the teachers are given Post-its, and all they do is just leave comments on the Post-it or write straight up into the anchor chart. Or you can just leave it as a blank canvas that people are just posting, like, as a school, we need support in. as a school, we were really successful at, right? Or as a grade level team, as fourth grade level team would really benefit from coaching and embedding NJSLA strategies into daily instruction, right? It could be very specific, it could be broad, but the whole idea is you're bringing the staff together to help you see where we were successful and where do we need more support in. And you can use this to then guide your professional development that you are, I'm sure, planning already for the following school year, right? And of course, it's not always, not everyone's goal, not every goal is going to be met. But when you look at the support wall, you wanna start thinking about, well, where can we prioritize, right? There are a lot of post-its about a support about NJSLA support. How can we make that happen, right? So this is a way to get our staff, to collaborate. It's anonymous, so hopefully more honesty, and also a way to now know, okay, how can I now, what are the steps I can take to make this a success for next year? How can I take the things that are on the support wall to transfer onto the success wall for next year, right? Another strategy that you might want to consider for your teachers is what's called the pineapple chart. If you've never heard about the pineapple chart, the term comes from that ability to invite other people into my home, okay? So in a school setting, it's teachers inviting other teachers or school members, anybody, right? Whether it's an aide, whether it's a principal, whether it's a CST member, into their home away from home, okay? It's like, oh, they're gonna invite them. So what happens is, let's say there's a teacher who really wants to showcase or be able to share with their peers how they run their small group during literacy or how they run their literacy centers. What they would do is on this, this calendar, they would write down the Monday, whatever date that is, and the time slot. So let's say it's 11 to 12, Monday, June 7th, I will be doing literacy centers. So what I'm essentially telling the rest of the school members is that, hey, on Monday, June 7th, I'm going to be doing literacy centers. If you want to check it out and see how to run literacy centers, or you just want to see how it runs in my classroom, you're more than welcome to pop in. And so this, Lisa, there's no judgment because I'm opening my doors for you to come in. And this allows for other staff members to be welcomed into another colleague's classroom and maybe learn a strategy or two, or may ask questions afterwards, right? But the whole idea is for there to be a room for collaboration, room for growth, between the teachers. And it also takes away the judgment piece. Because I invited you into my classroom, I'm not going to feel judged when you walk in because I want you to come in, right? And so keeping this as part of a practice where maybe this lives in the faculty room. And every week we just post one of these and we write in the dates. And then whichever teacher wants to sign up for a time slot, more than welcome to, right? So last but not least, right, one way for us to really get ready for next year is we're always continuously growing, right? And so when I leave you with summer reading and a social media, it's an Instagram account actually, that you might want to consider following. So on Instagram, if you go on Instagram, there's guess the handle would be the intentional principal. It is a great resource because it gives you, whether you're looking for quotes, whether you're looking for summer reading, whether you're looking for resources that are out there, elevating PLCs. This person has lots of posts that are helping leaders be intentional leaders. I know here it says the intentional principal, but it goes for any leader. You could be assistant principal, you could be a coach. It's really just about being an intentional leader and what it means to be an intentional leader. So you might want to consider following this person on social media, on Instagram specifically. And as for the summer reading, I will leave you with one suggestion that one of my colleagues mentioned to me, which is the 4 o'clock faculty. It is a guide for revolutionizing the professional development that happens in your classroom. It's a pretty easy read and something you might want to, consider. Okay. So that brings us to the end of this webinar, short and sweet. So if you can please, as part of all of our webinars, we do what's called an evaluation because we are always reflecting on what went well, what can we change up next time. So if you can please take the time right now to use your phones to just scan that QR code and complete that evaluation, I would greatly appreciate it. All right. And again, all the resources that I talked about, at the end of this, after this webinar is over, you will receive an email with one page that has links to all of the resources that were mentioned. All right, so I will leave this up for another minute or two. But again, thank you so much for attending this webinar. And I really hope that you were able to take away at least one strategy to either close out your year, to self-reflect, whether personally or professionally, or a strategy that you can use as you are planning your next year. So thank you so much. And I'm still here. Please just be sure to use your phone to scan that QR code that you see on the screen to give us an evaluation. Again, thank you for joining. Please take a moment to submit an evaluation form just by clicking on this, taking a picture of this QR code. And all the resources mentioned during this webinar will be emailed to you. And thank you so much for joining me for the webinar. I hope you got 1 or 2 strategies that you can implement as a leader. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.